In this video, cozy mysteries coming up. Hey everybody, I'm Miss Thomas. Welcome to Book Talks with Miss Thomas. If you're new here and you like hearing about books, you know what to do. And if you are returning, welcome back. So I am going to kick off my book blessing series. This is my first video in the series where I want to talk about ways that different people have blessed me, either by recommending a book or gifting a book or loaning a book. And what better way to start than with a viewer? So I want to start with a book recommended by a faithful, beautiful, wonderful viewer named Veronica Thomas. No relation to Miss Thomas, but she is my sister in Christ. And she commented about a book review that I did. And I asked her, what do you like to read? And she told me she likes cozy mysteries, especially cozy mysteries involving food. So I got the book that she recommended, and I'm going to review that along with two other cozy mysteries. And I'll also mention a review I did. It was something like Murder at the Blueberry Festival. It was a book that I reviewed a while ago. I'll link it. And that's a good cozy mystery involving food. So it's a woman who owns a bakery and a mystery occurs. So those are great books. I like those too. And the book that Veronica recommended is Sprinkled with Murder. Sprinkle with Murder. I'm sorry, present tense. Sprinkle with Murder. And I read this and I enjoyed it very much. I do want to tell you up front, it said on the cover, a winning read, and that was by Cleo, Coyle. And I thought, I know that name. How do I know that name? And so lo and behold, I have read a Cleo Coyle book loaned to me by another sister in Christ, a wonderful woman at my church named Kay. And so I'm going to talk about this book that Kay recommended because it's also a cozy mystery. This one's involving a coffee shop. But this one is involving, you guessed it, a bakery. But I thought it was neat how this book references that book. You know how sometimes authors recommend books? It's a good way to figure out what book you might like. Sometimes I really like a book and I look and see which authors wrote something about the book, and then I look into those authors because it's one of those, if you like this author, you'll probably like that author. Let me tell you about Sprinkle with Murder. Okay, so you can tell from the cover, it's a very cute 1950s style bakery, although the story takes place in the present. And this is the story of Mel, who owns a bakery that she's trying to start. By the way, this is book one, it says, the first in a series. Mel has started her own business owning a cupcake bakery. She is exclusively selling cupcakes. And her best friend from 6th grade on up, named Angie, has invested in the bakery as well. And Angie gave up a teaching career to work in the bakery with Mel, but Mel's the baker. And those two became friends in 6th grade because of their love of food and especially their sweet tooth. So I got a kick out of that. The way they met, Mel was chunky and she offered Angie some of her chocolate bar on Angie's first day as the new kid at school. And this bully takes the chocolate and Angie gets really mad and takes down the bully. And it's just a really sweet story. So that's just a flashback in the story. The story is actually about the women. Mel has trimmed down and become a successful entrepreneur. Angie has many, many brothers, and that adds some fun to the book because, you know, Angie can't get a date because her brothers are so, I mean, at one point they put a tracking device on her phone. They're just very, very crazy pants protective brothers, and they were funny. And of course, Mel has a crush on one of them. They also, in their business, have this silent partner named Tate. And Tate is a guy, and he is engaged to a real bridezilla, and her name was Christy. I had to check. I peeked. I don't lie. So Christy is like mean girl wrapped up with bridezilla. She's just awful, and she has a dog. Guess what the dog's name is? Puddles. So would you want a dog named Puddles in your bakery? Of course, Christy comes in with Puddles and does not clean up after Puddles. So, Christy's just a real piece of work. And Tate has asked Mel and Angie to cater their wedding with the cupcakes, to do the cupcakes. And, of course, Christy makes all these unreasonable, crazy demands. And Mel goes to deliver the cupcakes that she's, planning on making for the wedding for Christy to sample. And Christy ends up murdered. I have to say, nobody should be murdered, but I was thinking like, oh, I wonder who's going to get murdered. I hope it's not somebody really fun because, it's a series. It's a first in a series, and you want to be able to enjoy the book after book after book. But I'm not going to miss Christy one bit. She was horrid, just horrid. So because Mel is the first to discover the body and has reason, not to like Christy, she becomes the chief suspect in the murder. Fortunately for Mel, one of the characters, Uncle Stan, who I hope will be a repeat in the series, is the police detective. So Uncle Stan, of course, doesn't think his beautiful niece has committed murder, and he gets removed from the case. But because Mel doesn't want to be charged with this murder, she starts investigating it herself. And you find a slew of characters because the bridezilla, Christy, she's a fashion designer. So there's this one really gothic, dark character, and there's one really perky character that wants to be just like Christy with her little dog Puddles. And it was just fun. It was a lot of fun characters. And the other thing is there were recipes in the back for food. And there was a happy hour baking class where you made cupcakes that were flavored like adult beverages. And so there was like a recipe for a mojito cupcake, which sounded good to me, a mint, cupcake. There was chocolate cupcake with raspberry, I think, or was that... I don't know, but there were lots and lots of yummy, wonderful cupcakes, and it just sounded so good. And I just loved all the characters, especially the friendship. I'm a sucker for the friendship books. I love the friendship between Mel and Angie. And Angie was a real, she would kick your butt if she doesn't like something you said or did. She's ferociously protective of her friend Mel, and it was just very sweet. So I highly recommend Sprinkle with Murder, and thank you so much, Veronica Thomas, for recommending this wonderful book. It was a blessing indeed. Now, this book, like I say, there's a recommendation on the cover by Cleo Coyle. And Cleo Coyle books, these are a series of books about a woman who owns a coffee bar, or an espresso bar, a barista. And I would imagine this is the business owner and, the people that work in the coffee shop. They're fun characters too. This has been a while since I've read it, so please bear with me. But I do want to tell you, it was a fun mystery involving a coffee shop. And this one, the main character, and her name was funny because given that it's a cozy mystery, her name is Claire Cozy, go figure. C-O-S-I, I think it's pronounced cozy. And so the main character of the Cozy Mysteries is Claire Cozy. Isn't that cute? And she is the coffee shop owner with this annoying but lovable ex-husband. And the ex-husband has... he's been looking for new girlfriends on a dating app, and he's been setting up his dates through this dating app at his ex-wife's coffee shop. How rude. So he makes dates with these girls at this coffee shop, and somebody ends up murdered in the coffee shop. It's been a while since I've read it. I think the person ended up murdered in the parking lot, but it's been a while. But of course, Claire wants to solve the mystery, and her husband gets mixed up in it. And even though he's her ex-husband and he wasn't exactly Prince Charming, she wants to help him out too. And the thing I remember about this book that I really want to share with you is she has a poetry slam. And I just thought the poetry slam was hilarious. So I wanted to, by the way, this is the authors. It's a husband and wife team. Isn't that cute? I set aside the page from some of the poetry at the poetry slam in the coffee house. It's really funny. So I want to read some of those. Unrelated, one person presents in the book when they're at this poetry slam, and they present their poem. I matched an older dude, but he was still hot. We met at a bar and he smiled a lot. He said, "You look like her." And I asked, "Who?" "Your cousin. We married in 2002. They'd split by now and weren't even speaking. Too young to remember. I couldn't stop freaking. "You want me, I know," he said with a wink. I covered his head with my 2-for-1 drink. So yeah, and then another poem from the poetry slam. I'll read you real quick because I just thought they were really cute. I enjoyed the scene in the book where they have a poetry slam. Okay. Sliced. I thought this one was cute and harmless because some of them are not school appropriate, but these two are cute. "Let's meet for pizza," she said once we matched. They say to meet quickly, and she was a catch. So I bought the pie, we shared it and talked. I worked hard to be charming, didn't think I'd get blocked. When I asked for her number, she said, "Nah, I'm good. Just wanted free pizza. See ya in the hood." So I can't pull that off. See ya in the hood. That's just not something I would say. But it was a cute book with some cute poems. That was just one scene. There were some poems, but that wasn't really what the book was. But there was a scene where they have a poetry slam in the coffee shop, and I really got a kick out of that. So this is A Shot in the Dark, also part of a series by Cleo Coyle. All right. And then the other one, it's a cozy mystery series that I'm really enjoying. If you did not see my video where I talked about In for a Penny, fantastic. That was one of the best cozy mysteries I've ever read. I really got a kick out of that book. And so I liked it so much. Also a book blessing from my friend Kay, my sister in Christ at church who loans me great books. She and I share a love of cozy mysteries. And Kay loaned me In for a Penny. And I liked it so much, I went out and bought the sequel. But then Kay was like, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that. I have the whole series." So the sequel to that one I read recently is, because In for a Penny is reviewed on a different video. But I promptly bought and read the sequel, which is called Collard Greens and Catfishing. And Collard Greens and Catfishing is also similar to Shot in the Dark because it involves a dating site. So Collard Green and Catfishing is, again, with the crazy old ladies, Lil, who has been sent to prison, and her friend Maggie and her friend Sarah, short for Serendipity, because she's really into yoga and stretching and likes to travel around. They have gone to visit Lil in prison, and Lil has this bully friend at prison who, she's like a frenemy. She bullies Lil, but Lil tries to be nice to her, and they sort of have a unique friendship, sort of a friendship. And Lil has visiting hours with Maggie and Sarah, Serendipity, when Martha is sitting there, the bully in prison. And she has honed in on the conversation because she wants to have the ladies investigate a guy that is dating her niece. And he is someone that the niece has met on a dating app. And he takes her to He takes her to play paintball on the first date, and Martha is horrified by this, and she thinks, you know, what kind of trustable man? You can't trust a man that takes you on a date to play paintball. I mean, what kind of man would want to shoot at you? So Martha is upset by this, and she figures that Lil's friends are good at investigating things because that's what they did in the first one, In for a Penny. And so here's the sequel. Martha asks them to investigate this guy who is dating her niece through a dating app. And so hence the idea of catfishing. Lil's friends, Maggie and Sarah, start catfishing. They get on the dating app and try to find this guy. And they end up with some interesting dates as well. Maggie ends up being asked on a date where she has to wear this beekeeper suit, and the guy has on the beekeeper suit. And so it's very suspicious. You know, what kind of guy? You got the paintball suit and the beekeeper suit, and it's just a little bit strange. So the ladies are dating gentlemen, even at their seasoned age in life. And they are trying to find Mr. Right. Not really. They're just trying to find the guy that Martha's looking for. And of course, in exchange for investigating Martha's niece's Mr. Mystery Man, she is going to send someone to fix their septic system because Lil's estate has problems with the septic system. So if you know from In for a Penny, Maggie is a big DIY girl and she's trying to fix things around Lil's estate while Lil's in prison, but she just can't handle the septic system. So that's kind of funny too, the way Maggie tries to make repairs and they don't go as planned while she's working on Lil's estate. So, collard greens and catfishing is another one that I recommend. So there you have it. 3 cozy mysteries to kick off my book blessing series. Thank you so much to Veronica Thomas, no relation to me, but still fantastic. Sister in Christ, there's our relationship. Thank you for recommending Sprinkle with Murder. And thank you to my wonderful sister in Christ, Kay, for recommending Shot in the Dark and loaning me this book, and for loaning me Collard Greens and Catfishing.